This is going to be a series of blocking progressions that are going to be taking place with the Michigan State University team. There's going to be a lot of things going on the court, so I'll try to work through the traffic and explain a little bit what they're working on. As you can see on both sides, the outside blocker is starting pinch towards the middle of the court. And this is so the outside blockers can help the middle blocker with any form of a middle attack. So primarily what the outside blockers are working on right now is making sure they're setting the block appropriately, and that means they're lining up with the hitter's approach and taking away their approach. I think one of the biggest problems with starting in towards the middle, with the outside blockers starting in towards the middle, is they tend to fly to the outside if the ball is set to the antenna, and they really don't set up a good block. So as you can see on both sides, they're taking their eyes off the ball if there were a ball in play, and they're trying to locate the hitter's approach. And so by the second step of the hitter's approach, they pretty much know where they're going to finish up. So they have to wait until that second step is taken and then move to the outside. So there's a timing thing that the outside blockers have to work on. From there, they actually work on blocking an outside attack. So the ball's coming from the back row just for traffic reasons more than anything else. And the outside blocker is taking their eyes off the ball and focusing on the hitter's approach. And you can see they're kind of working through it as a group. And, blocking takes a long time to get good at. So they're working on their eye sequence now. With the coach that's jumping in and swinging at the ball. So the outside blocker is working on location, and the middle blocker is working on closing to the block. Now on the near side, the left front blockers are working on their eye sequence as well. So the coach is sometimes going to come for a 1 ball, or sometimes a 31, sometimes they'll come behind the setter. So if they come for a 1 ball, or go behind the setter, as you see there, they have specific blocking responsibilities. If they go away from the setter into zone 3, then they're not going to help out with that. So they're working on tracking the quick attacker. So on that, it'd be into zone 3. They release and work on their footwork to the antenna. We'll see what they do here. So now it's a 1 ball. The responsibility of the left front is staying and help with the 1, so they stay in and work on that move. Now it's a slide behind, and the left front blocker becomes the primary blocker on a slide. So on both sides, even though it's kind of in different scenarios, the outside blocker is working on what their eyes are focusing on and making sure that once the hitter is set, they take their eyes off the ball and find the attacker. This is the same thing that the right fronts are working on, but now the left front and the middle front blockers are working on just locating the angle of the hitter's approach and making sure, and it's the responsibility of the outside blocker to set the block in line with the approach. So you don't want what just happened there, where the attack came in and literally ran by the outside blocker. So the outside blocker has to have a little bit of patience, and they can't just take off running until they know what they're running to. So again, the hitter kind of ran by the outside blocker again. At this point, the outside blockers are almost leaving too early, and they're kind of guessing where the ball's going rather than just waiting a count, seeing the angle of the hitter's approach, and then planting themselves in front of that approach. Again, this is a progressive blocking sequence, so you go from first base to second base to third base. So as we move forward in this, you're getting more players involved. So now you're into a dig, set, swing sequence, and again, the set's coming from the backcourt, and the blockers are working on the same types of things. They have to see where the ball is going, track the outside hitter's approach, and then set the block accordingly. But now we've put in the component of transition now, so they're going from dig to swing on the right side of the court. So, slowly you're getting away from the controlled aspect of the drill and getting into more of a live aspect. But the concepts are the same. You're just building on specific concepts in terms of block location. So as you see, as we go through this, it's you starting it into very much of a repetitive sequence. And as we said earlier, blocking takes a long time to learn. So it takes a lot of reps. Now the risk that you run is, are my blockers and hitters jumping too much? So you want to make sure that you're kind of planning your drills out where you're almost rationing jumps. So, I bring that up just as, the blockers start doing this. Notice how the middle blocker is not going to the outside to block, but she's working on locating her hitter and tracking the quick attacker. So you see she gets on the quick attacker, but then just doesn't go to the outside. So even though you're rationing jumps in this scenario, there's still, you can work on things, so the hitters are working on swings and the outside blockers are working on some of the things we've already described. The middles are working on tracking the quick attacker, but at this point they're not doing jumps. The thing you have to remember with middle hitters, blockers, is the volume of jumping that they do. They jump, they're always running in for transition attacks, whether they get set or not, they're jumping. And then there's obvious jumping responsibilities when they're blocking. So, coach has to be very careful about rationing the jumps and making sure that even though they're rationing jumps, they're not just sitting on the sidelines. They can still work on some things. So the final component of this now is going full a 6-on-6 scenario where it's just one contact, but the players are working on the offense, defense, and now we've incorporated a quick attacker that can get set. The next and final phase that we'll go through is transitioning. So rather than coming in from a free ball or a controlled situation, now you see the coach entering the ball into various areas of the court on both sides, and the team on the near side here has to go from block to swing, and the team on the far side can either play it out or they can just go one contact. Again, it kind of depends what your goals are as a coach. So as you see here, they're not playing it out, they're just going one touch. But the assistant coach is doing a good job of moving around the court and creating different angles that the attack is coming from, and then the blockers have to react to it. The transition is coming from various parts of the court. Sometimes it's a hard ball, sometimes it's a tip. So this whole sequence, I think, is a wonderful job by the Michigan State coaching staff in terms of being organized, understanding what they're working on, rationing jumps if need be, working on eye sequence. So it's a great sequence of blocking drills that you can incorporate into your training situation.